Hello and welcome to a new episode of Adobe Creative Cloud TV, and actually it's a special episode because I'm here live at Adobe Max in LA, and I thought before I head over to the keynote this morning, I would share some new things that are being launched today, one of which is the brand new update to Illustrator. So we have Illustrator CC for 2014, and this is the October 2014 update. So let's take a look at what's new. Let's start off with the new creative libraries that are a part of Photoshop, Illustrator, and you'll see them ongoing throughout apps from here on out. So I've got the library panel open, and of course I have a library that we kind of started with Photoshop, but I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new library for this presentation. We'll call this the Play On Assets. So this will be the library for all the assets for the Play On campaign. And okay, so this library is just sitting there now, and it will sync with Creative Cloud and it's ready to go. Well, the first thing I notice is that I got a document here with a logo, and I'd love to have that logo in my library to use it in Illustrator from here on out, as well as Photoshop. So I can add it to the library, I can rename it so I know what it is. We'll call it the Play On logo, and that is syncing that asset to Creative Cloud with this library. Now also I noticed that it's got a fill color. I can go ahead and just add that fill color as well, and it will note the hexadecimal code that makes up that color. Okay, great. So far so good. Let's head over to a different document, and you notice the library doesn't change because the library is document wide, or it's actually application wide, so I can use it over and over and over again. I've got this guitar logo. I'll go ahead and add that in, or this guitar icon, I should say. So we'll just rename that guitar icon. Great. I've got the violin icon. I can do the same thing. Go ahead and add this one in. Awesome. And last but not least, the keys icon. We can add that one in too. So I'm building a library. And again, instead of one library for the entire application, I can have multiple libraries by project, by client, by whatever I determine. Key icon or keys icon. There we go. And it doesn't stop with just the graphics themselves. For example, I've got this nicely formatted text, and as soon as I select the text on the document, I get a T, and I can go ahead and define that style. We can call this, for example, white text. And then I've got this green text below it. I can select that. Same thing, add the text style. It'll maintain the font, the color, everything else. And we'll go ahead, oh, wrong one. We'll go ahead and double click on this new one, and we'll call it green text. All right, great. So now that we've got these assets defined, I want to go in and switch over to Photoshop now and use them. So we'll pop over to Photoshop where I've got a document waiting here. And what I want to do is, the first thing is I want to update or reload that library. So we'll say re-update. And it's syncing now, and it's going to redo this library from, or show us what's currently in it. There are some things in it from a previous look that I did at Illustrator, and now it's going to update with the new things that are here. So we have the Play On Assets. There we go. That's the new one we just created, and everything is ready to go. So from here, what I'd love to do is go in and just take this logo. I can either right click on it and say use in document, or I can just go ahead and drag it over. Once I drag it over, I can go ahead and place it in place where I need it to be. And of course, size it. It is a vector logo, so I can make it bigger or smaller. And then once it's in place, I can go ahead and rename the layer that it's on, Play On Layer. There we are. And I can also get rid of the logo for placement only. Actually, we want to call that Play On Logo. All right, so great. We've got the logo in place. The next thing we want to do is scroll down where we've got the incoming news, and we can go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit. And we've got the same thing where they're talking about the handmade guitars. So it'd be great to have a guitar icon there. So let's go ahead and drag, actually, before we do that, let's actually go down to the right layer here. There we go. Make sure we're in the right layer group. Incoming news. There we are. And now we'll go ahead and just drag that guitar over, and we can put that in place where we need it. And the next thing we'll do is it's talking about the keyboard next. So we'll bring over the keys icon. And of course we would rename these layers. I think you get the idea. Rename the layers so that you know what they are from here on out. And of course, oops, let's lock that one in. And of course the violin icon. So we get the violin icon in there as well. And of course, like I said, we can rename these. So that's the violin icon. And we'll go ahead and select the keys. One of those is the keys icon. Let's see which one. Yep, that's it. Keys icon. And last but not least, the guitar icon. All right, so we have our icons in place. The next thing we're going to do is scroll down where we've got the handmade solid text, and we'll just go ahead and make that our white text style. So it just goes ahead and formats that for me. I'll select the read more. That should be our green text style. And as you can see, I'm just quickly and easily formatting this text based on the styles that were created or picked up from Illustrator. One more time, we'll make this one white text, and one more time, we'll make that green text, and it was just that easy. Now, of course, libraries work both ways. So for example, I've got this submit button here. I don't need to style it from Illustrator, but what I'd love to do is grab that green button style to use from here on out. So I can go ahead and add the layer style to it, and we'll call this the submit button style. So now if I ever want to use that style again on another object, I've got that style ready to go. So libraries showed up in both Illustrator and Photoshop. I can add items to it in either program, and of course use the items from the library in either program. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back over to Illustrator since we are talking about what's new in Illustrator. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Fender Stratocaster guitar here. And what I want to do here is I want to show you in many ways how this was built and how these colors and styles and all of this, including the shape of the guitar, came together. And for this, I'm going to introduce you to some new apps that were just released today or will be released today, available in the App Store for you to download for your iOS devices. The first one that we'll take a look at, we've got the iPhone up. The first one we'll take a look at is we're going to use the brand new Adobe Shape application. So I'll launch Shape. And of course, Shape allows me to see the shapes of things around me, and it automatically detects them. But I'm going to go ahead and say, no, don't do that. And also, I'd like to be on the right library. So let's go ahead and make sure we're in the right library. And I want to go ahead and add a new shape. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a picture from the camera roll or one of my albums here. And I'm going to grab the guitar. So as you can see, it kind of outlined it already. It's saying, okay, I see some shapes here. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to continue to work with it. I can toggle back and forth between what's highlighted and what's not. I can adjust the sensitivity with a slider of how much of that guitar it sees. And then once I'm happy with the sensitivity, I can go ahead and lock that in, and it will show it to me in green. And then before I commit to it, I can go ahead and paint out with my finger the colors or stray marks that I don't need. So all this stuff on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, that's really not part of the guitar. It was more part of the sofa that it was on. I can go ahead and paint those out or tell it to deselect those areas just by dragging my finger over them. All right, so now that I've basically left just the guitar in green, Again, I can go in a little closer, get these little stray marks. Oops, now that was went in too far, so I can just go ahead and touch that again with plus and minus. So this is non-destructive. All right, so now that I've got this in place, I'll tell it OK. And right before my eyes on my iPhone, Adobe Shape is creating a vector image of the guitar and waiting for me to name it. So we'll just go ahead and name it Fender. And we can save it now, and it's saving that to my library and syncing that with Creative Cloud. And of course, once it's synced with Creative Cloud, it will be available in my library panel across the board with my other apps. So it looks like the sync is taking place, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to go ahead and close Adobe Shape, and we're going to move on to Adobe Color. Now, Adobe Color has actually been rebranded from the Adobe Cooler, K-U-L-E-R app. And of course, it's allowing me to select the colors in the room around me, but I'm going to say, no, don't want the colors here. Instead, what I'd love to do is switch to the right library. So we'll go ahead and switch over. And the next thing I want to do is create a new theme from the camera roll using the same photo. So we'll just go ahead and grab the photo here, and we'll say, yep, use the colors in this photo to create my color theme. And since I'm using the colors in the photo, chances are I'm going to pick up the right colors for the guitar. And of course, if it didn't automatically sample them, I can go ahead and move it around and kind of get some of those cool colors that I want to use. All right, so now that I've got the colors in place, I'll go ahead and tell it OK. I can rename it. And again, we'll just call it Fender. One more time, done. And it's saving that to the Play On Assets library. So syncing that up to Creative Cloud. I didn't have to do anything extra other than name it. And of course, I chose the right library to begin with, so it knows what to do going forward. All right, so now once that's done, we'll go ahead and bounce out of this, and we'll do the last thing, and that is we want to create that wood grain look that we see in Illustrator. And of course, we are not taking a photo, we're actually creating this in a vector form, and therefore we need a vector brush that will be able to handle this. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this, and we'll head over to the brand new Adobe Brush application. And from Adobe Brush, you can see some sample brushes I've already created there. But we're going to go to our library, and let's see here. Let's let it bring up our libraries there. There we go. And we're going to go to the Play On Assets library, and from here we're going to go ahead and create a brand new library, this time also from the camera roll. And we're going to grab an image that kind of has that oak grain to it. Now from here we can tell it to either be a brush for Sketch, Adobe Sketch that is, a brush for Adobe Photoshop, but in our case we want it to be a brush for Illustrator. And once we have the style, we can go ahead and do the crop. So we can tell it how much of this image we want to use or how little of it. We can also crop it up and down, maybe crop out some areas of it that we don't want. The next thing we can do is refine it. So for example, we have a threshold where we can tell it how much or how little of that to do. And then last but not least, we have the settings. So we can choose the size for the brush. We can choose whether or not it's going to be pressure sensitive, which of course we probably want that. And that's pretty much it. It's ready to go. So we'll go ahead and rename this brush Oak, because that's what it was. And we'll go ahead and save it, and it will save that brush to our Play On Assets library. So that's it. We've created all the things we need for the Play On Assets that we want to create. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of the iPhone here. We'll switch back to Illustrator. And behind the scenes, Illustrator has been grabbing that stuff. So it grabbed the shape from Adobe Shape. It grabbed the colors from Adobe Color. And last but not least, it's syncing right now as we speak to grab the new brush that we created. So as soon as it's done syncing, which we can hover over it and see the percentage there, it's almost done. And by the time we can say it's almost done, it is done, and there's our new brush. So now we have all the pieces we need to work on this Fender guitar. So for example, I'm going to just show you the outline version of it. And from here, we can go in and start to use some of these colors. So for example, if I select the neck of the guitar and I want to kind of fill it in with that cream color or one of the cream colors from the theme, I can just select the cream color from the theme or the orange color or the brown color. I can get those colors directly from the original photograph. All right, so now we'll head over to the body of the guitar. And the same thing, I want to use that brush. And of course, we can switch the brush to be on the inside. We can tell it that it has no stroke. There we are. And we can change the fill pattern, or I'm sorry, the fill color of that as well. So for example, if I wanted to, actually, let's play around with this a little bit. We had changed the fill by accident, so let's go ahead and grab the brush again. There we go. And we can pick whatever color we want, including the colors from the original photo. There we go. And of course, we want to toggle that so that it is no stroke, but it is a fill. There we go. All right, we're getting there. One more thing. Let's drop this down. And we're just going to take that off completely. There we are. So we now have our oak pattern with our colors that were accurately picked up from the photo in our new vector drawing. And of course, if we needed the original shape of the guitar itself or the Fender itself, we have that from the Adobe Shape application. So we could say use in document, and that will bring that into the document and make it available for us to use. Now, what if you wanted to draw this shape yourself? What if you wanted to create this? How would you do it? Well, of course, the pen tool is probably going to be your best option if you know how to use the pen tool. But there's a brand new tool for drawing curvy objects like this, and it is called the curvature tool. And what the curvature tool does is it works unlike the pen tool, where you have to know how to click and drag and whatever to get your curve points or your corner points or a straight line. So in this case, I'm going to start at the top here, or the right side here, and I'm just going to click. And I won't see anything until I at least do a couple of clicks. So I'm going to come around, and now, see, it was giving me a straight line until I moved away from it. And I'm getting a preview of what that next path is going to look like, so I can click, change directions. If I don't like it, I can click again, kind of keep it going in the direction I need to go in. If I don't like it, I can always come back and adjust those, by the way. I'm going to come out here and come here and come over here. Maybe not that far out. Here. Here. There we go. It takes a little bit of getting the hang of it, but once you do, I dare say it will be quicker and faster for those of you who were always afraid or couldn't use the pen tool just right. All right, so we're going to escape out of that for now. Oops, undo, not escape. But we are going to finish that off. All right, so now we've got our shape that has no stroke, so that's why we don't see it. Let's go ahead and select it, and let's give it a stroke. We'll make it black. All right, now we've got this last one here that we could probably finish off here. Let's go back to the curvature tool, and There we go. I didn't want to finish it that way, but let's go ahead and finish it by moving this down here and moving this over here. Okay, great. So we have our paths in place. And again, if it's too tight, we can pick this up, we can move it around, we can reshape this with the curvature tool and do a better job than we did initially. Once we have the shape we want, that will be pretty much it. You can pull that one out or down. There we go, that's looking a lot better. And we've got a pretty decent shape here. Maybe one too many points on this side. But now I want to go ahead and I want to start working on the neck of the guitar. Now for that, of course, I want to join it from here up and from here up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my knife tool and we'll just make an incision there. Oops, wrong tool there. Sorry about that. The scissors tool. Let's go ahead and select this again. And we'll grab our scissors tool and we'll make our incision there and we'll make our incision there. And we'll go ahead and grab our direct selection tool and cut out that piece in the middle. And there we are. All right, so now what I want to do is just use my straight line tool. And I know the neck's going to be a little too wide here, but I'm going to illustrate one of the other new features in just a moment. Let's go ahead and make our, oops, didn't want to go that way actually. Let's make a straight line coming down. And we'll make another straight line coming down. All right, so what happens is you end up with these paths that may or may not join up. So as you can see, especially if I zoom in on this area, we can see that we have these paths that don't really match up, they don't meet up, they don't join, they're separate, they have nothing to do with each other. Well, we made it a lot easier to fix situations like this with the brand new join tool. The join tool is located under the pencil tool. Brand new tool, and what I'm going to do is just take the join tool and kind of paint over the stuff that I wish was joined together. Let's see if we can get that to happen. There we go. Same thing here. Here we go. There we go, perfectly. So just by using the join tool, we're able to join that ever so quickly and easily just by painting over the area that you wished was joined together from the first time. So that's a quick look at many of the new features. I've got one more for you. Let's head back over to the text that we had here, and I'm going to go ahead and just do something that we normally see and sometimes do by accident and sometimes on purpose. I'm going to pick up the left side of this frame. I'm going to reshape it. I'm going to reshape it to the point to where I get an overset situation. In other words, there's more text than I have box for. And you'll notice this little handle hanging down. Well, I can go ahead and double click that handle and that will tell it to auto size or set this area type to now auto size the frame based on what's inside. So if I type more text, the frame just keeps getting bigger. So that's just a quick look at many of the new things in the new Illustrator CC for 2014 in the October update. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you download your updates today and take a look at many of these new features. And again, as you can see, it all ties together with the new libraries. The app's taking advantage of the libraries taking advantage of each other and being able to be used with each other in the various applications such as Photoshop and Illustrator. And this is going to just be a blast to work with. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. I'm heading over to the keynote. Hope to see you there.